Hey everyone, this is episode 39 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. Here with me is the biggest Jane Campbell hater, OSG. How's it going, OSG?
Hey, bro, I'm good. Hey, I did not just, I just not throw friggin'. I did not. I promise. Hey, y'all. So it never happened. It never happens. Yeah, but that's a good intro for me, man. Right now, I'm just so frustrated with her a lot of the times, and but what happened this weekend? We played the Pokemon Tynamo card.
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah, that's
Christ.
what happened.
Jesus Christ. Well, you know what? Let's just get right into it then, since it was a frustrating weekend. I mean, it was with Dash. Okay, we're happy with Dynamo. What the friggin' hell? We were lucky, and then the dose was a friggin' stalemate. Oh, but next pro works out. So penalties. But what's going on with you, brother? How was your weekend, man?
Oh man, this weekend was pretty wacky for me, essentially because I've been on celebrating my brother's birthday this weekend, and it essentially started on Friday, right after I left work. He was like, "Hey, we're doing this, and that for the rest of the weekend," and that was like the first time I wasn't able to catch all the three games live because I've been essentially just busy with my brother just doing whatever he wanted to do, like at the lake, downtown, and today obviously getting the cake towards the end of the day, and for me it was just going back to the games, catching the replays, watching it again, and I thought it was pretty interesting, especially because all three teams tied, and it's our first full Dynamo week. And if you're not aware of Tynamo, it's a meme that started a couple of years ago when one of the one of the like a Dynamo fan on Twitter, he mentioned, or they mentioned at least, that they because the Dynamo, like at one point, like a couple of years ago, they started tying games, and they haven't won a single game in like a couple of months, if I remember correctly, and it was a mess. And because of that, we generated the meme of Houston, Dynamo at least, tying all their games and not winning for that span of time, which was pretty terrible. It was bad. I hated that moment, but at the same time, like just ringing the Dynamo card on Twitter, and you probably see it on Twitter since I posted it today.
Didn't that
It,
last
it, it,
16 games that we didn't win a game and it was a loss or a tie? 16 games in
I
a
believe so. Yeah.
row. Yeah, dude. Crazy.
No, but yeah, the meme generated from that run of games because we didn't win a single one, and it was a mess. And we bring it back tonight because Dash tied 1-1 on Friday. Dynamo tied 1-1 on Saturday. Both teams on the road this week, and Dynamo 2 just tied at home, scoreless, but they won the shootout, and which we're definitely going to go ahead and talk about in tonight's episode. And yeah, it's just that I was a little bit depressed, particularly for the Dynamo game. But we'll start with the Dash game because
Well, before you
yeah,
do get in the dash game, while you were celebrating your brother's birthday, we did an instant ramen this afternoon, and to preview the Miami game, and we got to talk to Dan from Inner Miami podcast. So, guys, if you're listening to this, go listen to Instant Ramen and check out the Miami preview. It was a pretty good one. It's about 38 minutes long. It's very detailed. You get to know your opponent, which is the point of instant ramen. So y'all go check it out, guys. So DTFO.
oh yeah, and it's Instagram is going to be released at the same time as this episode, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, in any case, we'll get into the episode right away. We're gonna go ahead and start with the Dash because they were the first one to play this past weekend on Friday, and it was a West Coast game. It was pretty late, and I from the start I was just saying that the Dash are gonna have to bring their A game for this one because the Thorns, they for the Dash at least, have been essentially a thorn, literally for them for years now, especially on the road because they kept conceding these results and at home too for a long time, and I was concerned about that. But obviously, with Sam Lady in charge now and the team um, looking pretty strong for the past couple of seasons now, I felt like they could have pulled that result here, which it did. They ended up getting at one point out of Portland, which I felt like it was pretty big considering also this game, the fact that the dash looked pretty. They look pretty uneven. Like obviously coming back from the last two games they played on the road, especially in Portland, is a pretty tough place to play. And just shout out to them honestly because coming out of a one nothing deficit in that hostile crowd, it was pretty big. And Maria Sanchez doing her own thing, just breaking away from that play, that particular mistake from one of Portland's defenders, if I'm not mistaken. She just capitalizes off of that and just puts it in the lower 90, like slots it there. And that was the first half because the second half was essentially just like even trying to get a goal for Dash, and it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, dude. So the lineup that Lady went out with was kind of the lineup that he did previously. Let's just mention that Ryan Gary's hurt herself in the Mexico game, so she wasn't even on the bench today. Katie Lynn did play 45 minutes against Mexico, but Lady came out and said afterwards that he wasn't going to throw her in the fire for this game. So there's most likely we'll see Katie Lynn for the Challenge Cup against Kansas City on Wednesday, which is also a 7-1-3 night at home in Houston. Guys, go to the friggin' game. Come on. I know you're not doing nothing on a hump day. You can hump later, but go to the friggin' the friggin' game. But so the start lineup was pretty same, and I'll run through it just real quick. It was says Jane Campbell and go. Boo hoo.
Yeah.
Left or right with the backs was Chappie, of course, Jacobs, Price Sock, Didasco. Didasco's got to figure it out. We got to make some adjustments. Just as we get into the game, we'll talk about that a little bit more on that right side, because it seems like we're forgetting some tactics right there. Midfield was Vigiano and Schmidt, of course, and then Joel Anderson was the cam. Up top, left or right, was Sanchez, Ordonez, and Salmon on the right side. And so typical lineup, we kind of what we expected. No changes, nothing major. And then of course the players that came off the bench to make subs later were the typical ones. But was fun. So Dash, like you said, tough game to go into Portland, and we're just happy to get out of there with a draw. Like you said, Portland scored first. Sanchez was given the opportunity because the right back made a slide to try to intercept the pass and just completely missed it. Sanchez made a great touch, went to goal, did her little move like she always does. The defender tried to slide and stop the shot, but ended up getting megged at the same time, and it just. I mean, perfect right into the corner. There was no power behind it. It was just kind of rolled right into in the right corner, but it had enough velocity on it that the keeper couldn't make the save. So, and Maria Sanchez, 2 games in a row, scoring a goal. She's having a good season to start. 2 starts in a row, too.
Oh yeah, and one of my biggest gripes for this game was just the fact that they were not able to contain either Sophia Schmidt or Crystal Dawn from Portland.
Yeah.
Those two, especially Crystal Dawn, because I think she has like 8 goals against the dash all time, and
Smith stood out
yeah,
more
obviously she,
for me, and that's why I said we're going to bring up Didasco, because she balled Didasco this game.
yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, Crystal Dawn doing her own thing, obviously scoring the first goal, and just being a pain. Her and I felt like this time around in this game in particular, Sophia Schmidt, she was just causing trouble all game long against the dash, and they had issues containing her. And yeah, it's just one of those things that they're gonna have to figure out over the course of the season because it's gonna be those the kinds of players that they can just like play, carry the ball out by themselves, and just create plays from there. Which those were like the biggest negatives for me in this game because it was a mess,
Well,
particularly in the first half.
I mean, let's talk about it right now since you're on that point. So Didasco, the tactics that Lady's trying to play is she's pushing her up too far and into the attack, and she's not getting back far enough. So Chicago, Mallory Swanson, and now Portland with Soviet. Like, I mean, we know them girls are just excellent players, they're superstars, and they're going to push that side of the pitch. And this time it was Prysock on the right. Why has Prysock got to cover for Nadesco and have to take on that extra? Because that's pulling a center back out of the middle of the field. And you're just giving them so much space and so much they were able to get down into the box and just create so many chances. And I'd rather see Didasco, who is a former defender of the year, hold back a little bit. Our attack is good enough. Our players up there are good enough with Sanchez and Ordonez and Sam and Vigiano and Schmidt feeding those three that we don't need you pushing up so freaking far to help our attack try to score goals, especially when we're in Portland playing the defending champs and the expected champs or the favored champs again. Like, let's play a little bit smarter right there. Maybe if Didasco was held back a little more, they don't end up scoring that one goal, and maybe we get out of there with a 1-0. But you know, it, uh, it's I just hey, I'm not the coach. Just my opinion over here.
Oh yeah, and that goal that they scored against the Dash, it's just pretty evident of their work because like those two would eventually score the first goal, like Sophia finding Crystal Dawn inside the box, and just Crystal Dawn just getting that left foot like pass. I think Maria Sanchez was blocking her, but she wasn't because she was playing down, but she wasn't able to contain the shot to concede the first goal. And I don't know, yeah, like you said, they're gonna have to figure out a way to for the Dasco either to step her game up or find her support because like it's been a couple of games now that she has been showing issues or like containing her own side of the field and like you also mentioned like they're very very talented players and obviously they have to face other talented players and yeah, it's just a mess all around. But I trust the Sam lady. If there's a way they can figure that out, it'll be pretty big. And thankfully, it's still in the season. And thankfully for this game, it didn't turn out to be a mess because they eventually will hold on to that score line, which is pretty big on itself. So shout out to that, and also Didasco, shout out to her because she did cross 10,000 minutes played in NWSL. So congrats to her for that big milestone. And yeah, I just hope I wish her the best. Really, like I know for a fact that she can pick things up, and even with this early slump, when it comes to covering
Well,
players, knowing what they are. But
yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say it's not necessarily a slump. It's just and she's playing the way the coach is telling her to play. It's just the tactical adjustment needs to be made a lot sooner, or either it needs to be reversed. Like they need to start her more defensive and then let her push into the attack, especially when you know who you're playing against over there. It's crazy. So like when we let's just i.e. when we play San Diego and Alex Morgan's on the left, I do not want to see Dasco into the attacking half as much as she's been. Hold her down and let her hold it down, per se,
right,
right? Like, come on, bro. I mean, we Portland had 22 shots to our 16, I think it was. 22
14, yeah,
shots. We got bombed, bro. We got bombed. So I get but you know what? It worked out for Lady. We got the 1-1. We got the 1-1 draw, and it sucked because we gave it the goal in the ninth minute. And we're like, oh god, here we go, here we go. But you know what? We held our ground and we stood tall. They didn't score on us again. The defense was blocking everything and making sure that everything was deflected. And yeah, because I don't think Jane Campbell did too much. So, sorry, girl. I mean, I need you to step it up. And if it's got to be constructive criticism to get you to step it up, because Alvarado's waiting right there in the background, right there ready to
oh no, yeah,
take over. So, what you gonna do, Jane?
man, Alvarado's breathing down her neck, and this week, which we're gonna get to, it's gonna be pretty important for Jane Campbell, and I know, yeah, in this game also, they came up big in the second half, which is the thing that they had to do, and they pulled it off. And obviously, a win would have been much better, but I'll take the draw here for sure.
But we had the chance to actually beat. Well, I mean, it goes either way because Portland could have scored a lot of those goals, but at the same time, Dash had several opportunities. Miss Salmon, come on, girl, come on.
Yeah,
Hey, I told someone when the game was happening, it's like once she breaks through, because she keeps hitting the keeper in the face, is what it feels like. She's getting these breakaways, she's getting these 1-on-1s, she's getting these great opportunities, but she keeps hitting the keeper every time she takes a shot or a little bit wide. Once she breaks it, she's gonna blow up and start scoring friggin' goals. So Salmon, if work on that target practice, and it'll come out. So we could have won this game. We easily could have lost it at the same time. So both teams are probably happy they're with the 1-1. I know Portland's a little more disappointed than the Dash are, but hey, I I'll take the point against Portland. I'll take it.
Yeah. And in this game, we also saw Havana Solon and Courtney Peterson coming in around the mid mark of the second half, and Cameron Tucker as well as Michelle Alosi. And I really appreciate the fact that Cameron Tucker has been getting more minutes. I felt like she was going to be featured more uh, when it came to the Challenge Cup, but it really depends on how they're going to approach that. Also considering the fact that the players or however some lady wants to approach that, they might take it more seriously. I feel like.
Yeah, so I think Tucker's a super sub. Salone's a super sub for Joel L. Anderson until oh god, what's her face can come back. Uh, Help me out here. Our Cam, my egg,
Barb.
well, not yet, not yet. Our Aggie girl, Shea
Room.
Groom, yeah, Shea Groom.
Yeah,
Until Shea
yeah,
Groom can come back. So once Shea Groom comes back, obviously Joel Anderson will take the bench, and Salone may not get more minutes, or they're just going to have to rotate. But Peterson, we're glad she's back. She was only had to miss one game with her injury, so good deal. We're happy there, and but I'll regress. I'm just happy that for the most part the girls had a great performance, and man, I'm loving Price Sock more and more and more and more as she continues, because she's not the strongest, she's not the tallest, but she's the smartest, and she she does it all. She gives up her body. She makes the plays, even though her run is a little bit awkward. But hey, I'll take it. Price Sock's becoming one of my favorite players on the dash.
yep. I know. Yeah, that just seems like a good review of the game. Uh, Aside from the fact that it's another Cascadia game on turf, I feel okay with a point here, especially in a pretty tough, hostile environment like Portland and a pretty bad track record against them. So I'll take the point for sure.
Yeah, for sure, bro. So yeah, what do we got coming up next?
This week's gonna be pretty big for the Dash because it's the first game of the Challenge Cup. We got two games coming in. Wednesday is gonna be the first Challenge Cup game. It's gonna be against Kansas City Currents, and
Our
the
rival.
weekend arrival. Yeah. Let's not talk about the playoffs. And on Saturday we are traveling also to Washington Spirit, which is also an interesting spot for us to travel because recent history, I'd say.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the last time out we things ended up in our favor. But let's not talk about what happened before.
And it'll be okay. So Washington Spirit challenge. I mean, not Washington Spirit. Kansas City Current Challenge Cup at home. It's a 7-1-3 night, so we're trying to encourage more fans to get out there. Trying to so hopefully, I mean, Dash aren't expensive to begin with, but you're giving the dollar hot dogs, you're giving the $3 beers. So hopefully, we can draw a few more people out there and increase the attendance a little bit more. I.e., the attendance in Portland was almost 16,000, so that was a good little number. And then, of course, we're on the road at Washington, which is at 6 o'clock our time on Saturday, which is an hour and a half before the Dynamo game. So you're going to have to pick and choose which one you watch, because I'm sure you're going to the game against Miami and Houston if you live in Houston there. So that's going to be a good week. Obviously, we'll review it next week on both games. But man, y'all make sure if you can, go to the game on Wednesday. Otherwise, I'm sure it'll be on. I don't know if it'll be on CBS Network or Paramount Plus. Either way, both games.
Oh, yeah, and I've said it a handful of times, but the thing about I'm looking forward to, especially when it comes to the Challenge Cup, is how seriously we're going to take this one. And I think it's a tournament we can really go really deep on. It's just a matter of my theme of consistency and just staying on top of things because it's a very long year and it's the first time the Dash are are in these two competitions going head to head with little room to either breathe or rotate really roster wise and yeah I'm just looking forward to just how they balanced out.
And you mentioned rotation, so those chances are that we're going to rotate players for the Challenge Cup. It is a group play, but how serious are we going to take it? You can play the starters. You can. I don't know how you can do it. You can. There's a lot of ways to do the lineup, but those players at least got their time against Mexico to get in there and actually get their first minutes for the Dash this season. A lot of rookies, a lot of new players. Barbara Oliveri came in against Mexico. She looked good in the first half, and then I didn't watch the second half because things were going on, but so we'll see. We'll see what the Dash can do. This isn't a national team we're playing. It is the Kansas City Current. We don't know what the Current are going to do when they bring their roster. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. So let's just see what happens. Go to the game or watch the game. Make sure you support your Dash. DTFO.
Yep, yep, just like that. And yep, let's go ahead and talk about
Do we
the
have to?
Dynamo.
Do we have to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'll
and
let you start because I'm gonna get into it.
yeah, yeah. I'll let you recharge so you can just fire
I'm
away whenever
charged.
you're ready. But
I'm charged. So let's go. I'll just take a drink of or a little bit of my beer here. So yeah, while you talk.
so yeah, this game, it's in it. My main thoughts about it is that I was expecting a result here, which we ended up getting, but at the same time, we were pretty close on getting the full 3 points here. It's just that the Red Bulls were pretty much in front of the ball almost the entire game, and the Dynamo had handful of occasions. And I mean, shout out to Steve Clark. I felt Steve Clark almost got the 3 points there, and just imagine if he would have gotten the dub. But at the same time, like, it was just one of those games that obviously Hector Herrera was missing because of the send off last week, and it really looked like they missed him a lot. And obviously, the main issue of Herrera being missing and the issue going on with Corey Baird and how he can contribute to the lineup. And I can already hear you guys screaming from here. And yeah, it's just a couple of things we have to still tweak around, but overall, I'm okay with the result, even though I was gonna be very happy with the 3 points.
Good choice of words.
And
Okay.
look, it's just one of those games that you were expecting us to um, concede 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of regulation, and that didn't happen. But at the same time, just looking at the game, like the Rebels were dominating for a good chunk of the game, which, like, for me, it felt pretty painful, even though we were losing some key players, and Hector Herrera being that glue that sticks the midfield together, for pretty much, even like in the road games against Cincinnati, that one was like pretty big for him, and obviously the past few home games that like everything just seemed like it started gelling together. But yeah, it was just offensively, I'd say it was a mess because for a good chunks of the game, it was pretty non-existent, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to Corey Baird to make his case at this point.
So let's just start from the beginning again for this one. The lineup from back to front, Clark with the goal, and then the back four were the same as always: Escobar, Hadebi, Bartlow, and Steres. Of course, I mean, there's not really anybody else that can start. Dorsey's not getting playing time. Schmidt is season ending. Smith is not ready to go yet. Vanderkirst was on the bench, but you would not expect him to start since he hasn't had no playing time with the Dynamo. So those four were expected. And then it was Arthur and then Coco. So who replaces Ache Ache? Well, to our surprise, it was Saicedo or Casedo, however the hell you want to say his name. Saicedo. So that was the surprise to me at least, and maybe to a few other fans. And then maybe after the game, after they watched his performance a little bit, wasn't the best. The surprise. And then up top, it was Bossy, Corey Baird, which we all knew, and then Brooklyn Reigns got to start on the right wing. That man does not belong on the right wing. So
Yep.
I think the consensus was everybody wanted Brooklyn Reigns to start for Ache Ache, and then Franco has to be the right wing, or even Quinones could have been the right wing right there. Who knows? But Ben Olsen went with his mini ball this way, and that's who he chose to do it. And Reigns has started 3 games, 2 at the right wing where he's looked terrible, 1 at mid and he's looked okay. I'm gonna say good, at that position. So I don't know what we're doing playing that 4-5-1 type Reigns. Even when you were watching him for a little bit, looked kind of lost playing that position over there. And I know he doesn't like doing it. You could just see it in his form. So leave him in the middle of the field where he's comfortable, where he's pressure on the ball, and I think that's where he belongs. But you mentioned Baird. Oh my god, Baird, bro. Are you a center back trying to play striker or what? White men can't jump. We already know this. So he didn't win not a single friggin' ball that Clark put up there for him to. I mean, the defender was like, "Oh, I could jump over this guy easy." Won every single ball that was kicked to Baird through the. Like, all right, let's say the ball wasn't in the air and it came down to his feet. What did he do with it? He couldn't make a friggin' touch to save his life. Like he did. Wow, he ran. I'm so happy for Baird running. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna rile up a couple people listening to this show this time. But I mean, if Baird look lost. What do? You put in Thor, you put in Sebas. I don't know what the answer would have been. And then you mentioned Achi. Yes, we were missing him. How much of a difference could he have made? I mean, maybe it would have been a difference to where we could have defined our way out of the hole a couple times to win. But just the way that the press NYRB was giving us the press, and we could not find our way around their friggin' press. I think Coco tried to do a little bit too much more than what he was expected to do because Achi was missing. So yes, you're right. If Achi was there, Coco wouldn't have tried so hard. They would have felt a little more confident. He would have been on the field to calm him down and talk to him and relax him at the same time. And it's just, man, we got our butts handed to us this game. I mean, our butts handed to us. I mean, that, and once the announcer announced how many clearances we had, I think it was 32 at the time. 35 or 36 is when they scored on that friggin' corner kick. And don't get me started on the corner kick yet either. But
Oh man, yeah.
yeah, I've got my two opinions on this corner kick. But Steve Clark had a great game. Ethan Bartlow was the second best player of the game and had a stellar game. And then Teenage and Evie had an excellent game as well. As far as everybody else, Escobar had mind farts a couple times, but he played okay. Steris played okay. As far as everybody else, they didn't show up today. Did not show up. Bossy was invisible. You know, thank God Franco came in, or really Thor and Franco came in, and Thor made the defender jump, but he had to pay attention to the guy jumping in front of him, so he misjudged the ball this time. It went through. Franco was smart, and Coco said in the press conference afterwards, he was yelling at Franco, yelling. So through all that curly hair, Franco heard Coco yelling for the ball, and he made the pass instead of shooting because I was yelling at the TV when it happened. Finish! And he passed the ball, and I was like, what? Whoa! And then Coco was smart enough just to tap it over the keeper because the keeper had that fucking covered. So, boom. Yes. Right. Hey, can you hear me through the curly hair? I shortened up my rant so it wouldn't last as long. But we hadn't even talked about the corner kick we gave the goal on. But that was my little bitty rant. I just wanted to voice my opinion right there.
I wanted to get my positive out of the way, but yeah, like my main positive was just that goal because I forgot who sent that ball to
Clark.
Franco. Steve Clark.
Yes,
Oh damn.
yes.
Okay.
Clark was sending them up
Damn,
and
yeah.
up and up
Right.
the whole game, bro.
Because I wanted to give credit to Steve Clark as well because and I guess Thor for forcing that play to like at least get rid of the man covering him to get the ball pass to Franco.
Dude,
on the other end.
That was Thor's
And-
first play since coming in, and he already made a difference on the defender having to jump for the ball. Baird can't jump, and so the defender had to adjust already on the first play, even though he didn't touch it. But go ahead. My bad.
No, yeah, and no, you're good. I mean, we're all fired up.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, what can you say about Steve Clark? Like, this was a massive game. Imagine if we would have gone the clean sheet here. Like, oh my goodness, like that's gonna be insane. But yeah, either way, like he ended up getting the ball to Ivan Franco in the other end of the field, and I mean, just shout out to Ivan Franco on his first assist with Dynamo, because finally he finds Coco, and like you said, he's been pretty much just yelling for the ball, and thankfully he got it past his hair. But
Bro,
but yeah,
and,
it's
and to
and
and to mention about Franco though, it just his intelligence to shield the ball, because you see strike or wingers or strikers or whatever, when they get that 1-on-1, they forget about that defender and they don't block that defender out. He actually scooted over and stepped in front of that defender. So if he wasn't going to get his opportunity on goal, that defender was going to foul him and get the red card right there, and that just would have totally changed the entire game right there. So Franco's smarts for doing that. That defender had to back off before that assist ended up coming out. So double smarts for Franco right there through the curly hair.
no man, and then he eventually finds Coco open inside the box, and Coco with a pretty good finish because he was pretty smart about it because Cornell, the keeper, was already in motion, and he was just like, I'm gonna put it past you like in a pretty tough angle that you won't be able to figure it out, and that's what he did. And shout out for that goal for Coco's like first goal of the season.
I was super excited when that goal happened. I was like, there's still 20 minutes to go though, but I was like super excited when that goal came. And then just like you said, Coco, instead of just taking a rip, he saw the keeper was already coming across too far and had that corner covered. So he just tapped it over the keeper, and that defender almost got back to make the save, but it wasn't good enough, and he ended up getting caught in the spider webs. Thank you, Coco, and Ivan Franco and Thor for making it happen, and then Clark because he had the big boot. And
Oh yeah, and credit to them for catching them off guard. But that's just my main positive,
yes,
and we can just get with the negatives because,
Hmm.
and you already mentioned the fact that they essentially dominated this game because, and I keep saying essentially because it is essentially the case for this game, essentially because uh, the Red Bulls, they had 18 shots and 7 of those were on target, and our total shot count for that game was 3.
bro,
And
and of those 18 shots, 7 of them were on target. That means 7 of them made it to the keeper. How many of them were
yeah,
blocked by Bartlow and Hadavi? Mainly Bartlow. How many of them were blocked, bro? Those were on target too. So
half of those, yeah,
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 dude.
and Steve caught 6 of those.
Dude, Steve, thank you, Steve. The
Steve.
captain Steve, by the way, the captain Steve.
Oh yeah, he was wearing the armband, yeah. So credit to that, but still, like that just tells you that they had the front foot almost all game long, and yeah, it was just painful to watch for good chunks of the game, especially in the first half. Not it
Hey,
was miserable.
since we applied for press credentials, and I'm assuming the Houston Dynamo are listening to our show to see if we're worthy or anything. Can we get Steve Clark a real jersey instead of the authentic? Because he has those stars over his badge on his jerseys he's wearing. I'm watching other
Right.
games, and like the LA game today, the LA keeper had his 5 stars. He's got to get an authentic jersey on over there, bro. Come on, man. He's got no stars on his badge, but he plays like he's got them, though. So I just,
No, yeah, he's playing like it, honestly. But but yeah, if we can get to the corner kick goal
hmm,
because
hmm.
man, they were so close to closing things out, and man, they had it in the bag.
Well, all right. Since you left the door open right there, I'll get right in. All right, bro. Like so, first off, the ball was inside the 6, so we'll mention Clark first. Inside the 6, the keeper should always come out and get the ball. Should not rely on his defenders because it's close enough to your goal. You can react and you can make an action. And he should have came out. Now, granted, it was an in swinger, not an out swinger, so it does go away and then come back in. So that could have thrown Clark off. But yes, he should have came out because it was inside the 6. Second thing, Escobar, the brain fart I mentioned earlier. This was one of them. He was marking his man and thought that the ball was going to a different man. So as the ball was in the air, he thought it was going too far. He backed off, ran towards the goal line, and before he even turned around to look, his man that he left didn't even have to jump. This dude is as tall as you, Andres. This dude, he headed the ball
Yep.
into the goal, and as Escobar's turning around, the ball's coming into the net, and then we're all like, God dang it, the Dynamo of last season is back. Up 1-0, and let's give up a goal late. So
Oh yeah,
frustrating.
I was particularly mad, or just like a little bit upset with Escobar for letting that marker slip away, and it's just like I mean, just stay there, and you would have cleared right away with like a few minutes left in regulation, and from there you could have just done whatever you wanted really, and it's just upsetting.
For real. I mean, even either be on the line or be on the mark, and he should. And the mark was his job, so stay on the mark. And even if the ball is just over you, like he really misread it big time because the ball wasn't that far over. I mean, obviously, he wasn't over at all. But the next guy behind, over wasn't that far behind. To like if the ball would have came over, it would have been right there. But you just jumping throws the next guy off a little bit, makes him think he's got to make an adjustment or you're going to head the ball or something. He still could have made a difference if he just would have stayed there. And if he did would have stayed there, that little guy would not have headed the ball into the net to begin with. So make up your mind what you're supposed to do, Escobar. You had that damn brain fart, and now you got to make up for it at home against Miami.
No, yeah, and Houston would end up sticking with that, uh, not making things worse, and just stick with the point, which is, I guess, okay, considering they were also on the road, but still, I'm somewhat upset that we didn't get the 3 points here. And it was going to be a pretty, I want to say well earned, but rather well fought if that goal wasn't going to go in. But yeah, it was just one of those performances I could have gotten 3 points from, honestly.
I'm only upset because we thought this was a winnable game coming into it. I'm not upset because we did get the point because of the way the game turned out. I'm disappointed because we did have the 1-0 lead and we gave up the goal in the 86-minute mark. I'm proud that we did not fall apart and give up the second goal because I think it was 7 minutes extra time or 4 minutes or whatever. So there's still like a total of 8 minutes left once that first goal was given up. For the Dynamo to give up a second one, they did not do that. And then just again, big shout out to the defense for just we got blasted on and we didn't give up the shots and Clark had a hell of a frigging game and I hope he makes the MLS team of the week. I know he probably won't because the way other games went, but he's got to, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that was that game. We would head to the weekend kind of with like that bit bittersweet feeling, I'd say, depending on how when you look at that result. And on Sunday though, we got some news coming out of nowhere, especially in
Yeah.
transfer news, and Houston would eventually claim off waivers Chase Gasper, which was a former defender for LA Galaxy and Minnesota United, and it was pretty odd because it's another fullback, and at this point I'm calling the Houston fullback MO because we have like so many fullbacks for a variety of reasons, and yet this one in particular, like uh, I believe they can play. It is a left back. Never mind. So it's so yeah, Chase plays left, and we have like four left backs now. Also considering the injured ones and Van der Kuss, which has been seeing a lot of time with Dynamo 2 and was also featured on the bench for the game against Red Bulls, but he did end up playing for Dynamo 2, which we're gonna get into. But
Speaking of
I thought it was
Vanderkars,
interesting. Yeah.
because of this move, I think it's pretty obvious Vanderkurs is now going to stay with Dose. He's not going to be given the opportunity to play with Dynamo. And I thought at a certain point when I was watching this game, because I knew Vanderkurs was on the bench, that he should have been subbed in for Escobar or either Stairs and you move Escobar to the other side. And because we were trying to get upfield a little bit more, and Vanderkust could have given that to us. And at the same time, opening that wing up though, but so I think with this move, that makes sure get Vanderkust will be a dose player for the rest of the season. And here we are with another loan that we're not giving a guy a real opportunity to get some real good playing time with the first team, and he's going to be on dose for the rest of the season and probably playing Open Cup games. So because Smith is due to come back pretty soon, and then now, like you said, we brought in Gasper.
Oh yeah, and Gasper was. picked in the 2019 MLS Super Draft for Minnesota United, and last year he was traded to LA Galaxy for 450,000 in GAM, and LA Galaxy after the season would end up pretty much getting rid of him off the roster. But even though he still had a contract with the league, they're still they're still on their books, and they just claim it off the waivers because no one else took him in, and Houston came over and took another fullback.
Didn't
So,
they just put him on the waivers last week?
or no, I mean on the books because
Yeah,
I
but
think,
didn't they just put him on
yeah,
the just now put him on the waivers though? Because the waivers are not infinite. It's a limited time. Once you're off the waivers, you become a free agent.
right. No, yeah, that's true. And just based on Casper's situation, like he wasn't really like a free agent, but rather he was just on the waiver list, and and yeah, that's just the way it works in MLS. And yeah, it's just I think it's definitely nice that we picked him up, but it just raises that question that Vander Kuss, we might not be seeing him play with the first team for a while, if not at all this season, depending on how they want to approach things. And yeah, well, I guess like as long as Vander Kuss sticks to those minutes, like or consistent playing time with Dynamo 2, it can definitely help him since there's been those situations, especially in the first couple of games for Dynamo 2, that we could have definitely seen his weaknesses, and he definitely is going to have like the opportunities to fix those.
Yeah, for real, bro. Yeah, so I think I'm worn out with Dynamo.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, Chase Gasper, our new fullback. Welcome to Houston, sir, and
Welcome to Eastern.
hopefully hopefully we get to see you play pretty soon because you already got some playing time in MLS. So there's and Van Olsen is gonna like you.
And speaking of center back, it looks like he was on his plane to Canada today. He finally has his visa meeting tomorrow, which means that man should finally have his visa and then, fly back and practice with the team on Tuesday if all things go okay tomorrow. So that's just us making an assumption. I mean, he did post it, by the way. Going
Yeah,
to get his his visa meeting. So why else wouldn't he? Why would he get declined or whatever? So it's finally happening. He's going to have his visa. He's going to be with the team. Obviously, he'll be on the bench. Well, if he gets it, he'll be on the bench against Miami most likely. We'll see if he comes in late in the game and takes over for somebody. And who that is, I don't know because right now, bro, I don't want to take out Hadabi. I don't want to take out Barlow. I mean, I think we said last week it's a good problem to have. I even asked, why do we need the guy? But
yeah,
I mean, you can't have Barlow and Hadabi playing every single game. But this dude did cost us, $1 million or whatever. So he is costly. So let's just figure out how they're going to work and if they're going to rotate or if they're going to change up the defensive line. I don't know what they're going to do right now. We cannot figure out Ben Olsen for anything because who was on the bench again and who didn't play at all? Sebas.
yeah. Corey Berser playing, but yeah, I'm looking forward for Sviatchenko. I want to get Sviated.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I like what he's going to bring to the team, or what he. Or, we'll see how he translates to the MLS. He'll be a good player, but like I said, just Hadavi and Barlow are playing so well together right now. Hadavi's not been crazy. He hasn't got one yellow card yet this year, and credit to Dynamo Faithful. They looked up the stats, and I think he had 5 yellows and a red at this point already, or 6 yellows total, to where it was 2 yellows equals. I forget what the number was, but at this point last season, he was already sitting his first suspension. So he has none so far this season, and his foul count's even low. So he's doing whatever adjustments he's made, he's doing a great job mentally, and it's just going to be difficult when we see this guy on the field and like, what's he going to do for us? I know what I got already, but hey, whatever. If the team is better, the team is better.
Like, shout out to Teenage because I feel more comfortable with him playing compared to last year because last year he was just like a random bag of tricks. You don't know what's going to happen, and this year obviously less red cards
Yeah.
to start the season at least, less cautions, and overall I just see him play. He just seems comfortable with the ball. He knows where to place it. Knows where his teammates are, just to find them and still distributing the ball like normal. So shout out to him. I've been enjoying how he has been playing so far, and with that, we can get into Dynamo 2, and this is gonna be pretty quick because that game was pretty boring and not a lot happened. I felt like LAFC 2 had like a lot of opportunities, and Houston just sat back and took it. And I felt like it's just one of those games that this was very frustrating for Dynamo 2, and for when it comes to the roster this time around, like it's stay more the same. Although Andrew Charbel got his first minutes with Dynamo 2, I'm expecting him to start for the Open Cup game, and I figure they're going to be adding him minutes to Dynamo 2 to get ready for all that.
Well, speaking
And
of
yeah,
that's why some of the players started tonight is because the preparation for the Open Cup that's coming up the following Wednesday. What is that? Not 15 days. Sorry, like 10, 11 days from now. So,
yeah,
real quick, your starting lineup: Tarbro got the keeper, left or right. Was Muji Morano got the left back because Mikel got to start with Maples, last year's dynamic duo. And then on the right was, I mean, sorry, Majid was on the right, Vanderkus was on the left. You had Augusta,
yeah,
you had Castilla, and you had Gonzalez. Diego Gonzalez was your
yeah, yeah,
midfield, and then of course you had Evans, Avila, and Papa Indoy playing the top three. So players that you're going to most likely see play against Tampa Bay next week were brought down to the team to play. Vanderkush, we were expecting to see against Tampa Bay. Mikel, obviously. Tarbell, obviously now. You would expect Castilla. You might even see Diego Gonzalez since he's played every minute for Dos. I don't want to see Avila. I would sit down. Let Sebas have that start, please.
yeah. And the thing I wanted to say about this game is that it was a pretty good test when it comes to first winning Dynamo 2 and how they can adapt to that because the visiting team did a pretty good job of setting the low block and overall just frustrating Dynamo 2 because Dynamo 2 they would end up getting 10 shots in and only two of those were on target. And just looking at the game live, you could have sensed the frustration right away because they were trying to build plays, find an opening, and that wasn't happening at all for like 2/3 of the game. And LAFC 2 was just out there creating those plays, and they did end up building all those dangerous opportunities, but thankfully they didn't get anything past Tarbell or at least like the defense in a couple occasions.
He had to make a save 1 minute into the game just to start off, and that ball was going in, but it was straight at him. But he had just had to jump up high and make sure he tipped it over, and but Tarbell had to make some great saves towards the end of the game too. During in between those two spans, there wasn't nothing that really made him test themselves. It was kind of both teams couldn't get off really good shots. They were getting shots off, but nothing was really good. And LA looked like the better team tonight, which is kind of disappointing because, man, can they move us back to Aviva and get rid of Sabercat Stadium because we were undefeated at Aviva, and now we can't even. I mean, we ended up winning on penalties, but we can't win at Sabercat Stadium. Now, granted, I know they're the same place, but can we change the name back?
Oh yeah, that game was disappointing, and probably changing the name might help. But yeah, they did win the shootout, but it was just like the first two halves took right away. Like they tried to do stuff, but eventually nothing worked on their side.
Bro, nothing.
And
Papa and Doy was off today, right?
yeah,
D-
well, yeah, he played, but he didn't seem like his usual self.
yeah, and Beto Alba did nothing, so there's the Corey Baird factor right there. Even Diego Gonzalez, who does pretty well. Yeah, the Corey Baird effect had a bad game. Auguste didn't have a good game. There was even a couple of mistakes by the defenders, so it just it was contagious today. So we were lucky. No, I wouldn't say lucky. It was a good deal to hold up to the 0-0 draw and go into penalties. And then penalties, we just killed it. Tarble killed it again. So Tarble's first
Yeah,
experience for us in our uniform played. Actually, I said Tarble was Clarking it today, and he Clarked it today.
right.
So uh,
No, yeah, he Dynamo in the shootout. They would eventually just win the shootout by making all their goals, but Tarbill will let the first one pass him, but he will block the next two, and that's how they would end up winning it.
yeah, 4-1 on penalty kicks, because we went first, so we knocked all ours in, and all ours were pretty good penalty kicks, and the last one a little cheeky, a little cheeky one.
Oh yeah,
I hate those sometimes because you know the keeper's going to dive, and then he was running up so aggressive, and then he just kind of whoop, dee-doop, boop, boop, into the net. If you watched it, you know what the sound effect was.
no, yeah. Shout out to August for making that shot. It looks pretty. They make it look easy, but it's not. It's
No,
it's pretty hard.
it's definitely not easy at all. No, no. They obviously these guys can take penalty kicks. The first three were in the right corner, and then Auguste comes in and he puts that one. The keeper guessed the right way, but it doesn't matter because of how cheeky Auguste took that kick. And winner, winner, chicken dinner, brother. Winner. So I'm happy. I'm happy. And I text Sergio from the cert. Didn't really text him. I put it in the Discord that he needs to recruit the kids that were at the game, because every time because there was quite a few LAFC fans there, and every time they started chanting, the kids, the Dynamo kids that were in the stands started, "We can't hear you."
Yeah, yeah.
I was like,
That's pretty funny.
recruit them to
Yeah,
the supporters sections. It was good, but like you said, boring friggin' game because there was just it was just ugly. It was ugly, boring to me.
yeah, yeah. And they'll be back at home. Thankfully, no more road games for a bit, but they are coming back on Sunday to Sabercat Stadium to face Tacoma Defiance, which was the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. And it should be a good one.
Yeah, of course it's going to be a good one, especially when we're not playing that well still. So yeah, that'd definitely be a good game because we're not looking like the dominant team that we were last year, or at least at home we were. But and a stat that came out after the first three games is we've got the most in the league. We got the most shots per 90 minutes. That may still be true tonight, but it didn't. It didn't. LAFC was the better team, and we can't let these teams push us around like that, bro. We gotta be better. These kids want to make it to the first team and get their opportunity. They're gonna have to play a little bit better. Right now, their cohesiveness is not working right now.
Yep. No, yeah. And with that, would you be so kind to do the recaps for MLS and NWSL and a little MLS Pro, so that way we can definitely put a closest one out, a very glorious Tynamo episode for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah. We kind of did the recaps a little bit out of order tonight, but that's okay. That's okay because let me get it back up where it was at. What was
No, yeah, we were just so enthralled in the conversation, just trying to get into each tie
yeah,
and
bro.
just how each of them were just like weird in their own way.
Right, it did throw us off, so it's okay. But obviously, the dash in Portland were the game on Friday up in Portland, so we gave Portland their first blemish of the year. They're 2-0-1. Dash are still undefeated as well. They're 1-0-2, so we've got ourselves 5 points. Portland's still holding up the top with that 2-0-1. Let's see, Washington Spirit, they won at North Carolina. They're still undefeated, 2 wins and 1 draw, so that's going to be a tough game coming up after our cup game, as you said. So it looks like they're starting off and they're back to their old ways. Here's a surprise again. Gotham, they went to Orlando and won. So Orlando's 0-3. Gotham is
Man,
2 wins and a loss. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. Juan Carlos, get the hell out of here. Doing a good job up in New York, man. you know, And then Chicago, I don't know how they did this because with Mallory Swanson getting hurt and not probably not playing the rest of the season, they scored 4 goals on the Kansas City Current and beat them 4-2. Kansas City Current
Dang.
are 0-3 to start the season. So
Dang.
they if they want to take the Cup serious, it looks like they're going to have to play their first team and not put their subs in because right now it doesn't look like they're doing too well to start the season. But we'll see what happens, And then Angel FC and Racing Louisville, this one's automatically a tie because Racing Louisville is only tied this season, 3 games, 3 ties. So they're the Racing Touisville.
Louisville.
Touisville, yeah. And then the last game of the week, OL Reign beat San Diego Wave 1-0. Gave San Diego their first loss, and so that evens them up in the standings. So like I said, it's going to be Washington Spirit and Portland Thorns holding up the top in the NWSL. All right, moving along, jumping over to the MLS. I'm going to run through these quick, interrupt me whenever you feel the need. Montreal still in
Yep.
shambles. Friggin' lost 1-0 at home to DC. They're just horrible, man. Charlotte and Colorado 2-2. Columbus, New England 1-1. NYC beat Nashville 2-1 at in their baseball stadium. Toronto and Atlanta was actually a pretty game 2-2. Of course, there was our game, and then over there in the 290 West Side. Austin hosted Vancouver and nobody could score a friggin' goal. And I hear the rumblings already in this little area that we're in right here. Obviously, we're here in Austin's in the 512, so we're hearing the rumblings already. They're mad, bro. They're mad right now, like super mad. And I told someone today they won their damn what was that cup?
Copa
They
Tejas.
won the damn Copa Tejas. The shiny new boys got their shiny new trophy, and they said that's all they needed, and that's what they're at this season. And that's what they're doing, and they're technically right now in 10th place after all the games have been played, so they're out of the playoffs. So I hope they continue to struggle, just in case any Austin people are listening to the show.
This still early in the season, but man, like
Well,
people just talking about playoffs willy nilly, which is pretty funny.
yeah. I mean, true. It's just funny. We gotta give it up while we can, right? I mean, what did we start off the first 5 games with a loss last season, and then of course you know how the season ended up. So, got to give it while we can because they're definitely going to give it when they can. So you know how that works.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
Philadelphia is still struggling, but they ended up with a tie 2-2 against Chicago. FC Dallas got lucky and scored a late goal and beat RL Salt Lake 2-1. Minnesota hosted Orlando. Orlando wins 2-1. Probably the game of the week. Portland just destroyed Seattle. Seattle scored first, and then Portland put in 4 goals, and I think it was in like 12
Yeah.
minutes.
I watched that game. It was insane. Like the second half, like Portland was just like, you know what, we're gonna score 4 goals now, and they did.
Bro, for real. Like even the announcer was saying, like Portland was making a statement. They're back because what was it? Seattle scored in the 58th minute. Yeah, 58 minutes. And then Portland 71, 76, 81. Oh, yeah. And then that last one that at the 89th minute mark, just to make sure the game was put away. Like
Yeah.
crazy, man, crazy. And then San Jose finally decided to score goals in their game. And they ended up beating San Jose 3-0. Sorry, excuse me. Sporting KC cannot score goals, still having that issue, and San Jose just took it to them. They scored an early goal. Actually, I think they were winning 3-0 at halftime, if I remember correctly, and just 2-0 at halftime, and then they Espinoza with a goal, Ebobisi with 2 other goals, and then surprise of the week. I guess St. Louis is back because they destroyed Cincinnati 5-1.
Yeah.
Oh, five, like what the
Insane.
hell? Yeah, dude, for real. And what that means is because of goal differential, New England's is leading the East now, and Cincinnati is tied with them with 17 points, leading the East. New England. Dang, who would have thought of? But anyways, Atlanta, Columbus, NYC, Nashville, Orlando finished out the top 7. Chicago, Toronto 8 and 9. And then, of course, everybody's now won a game in the East, it looks like. So nobody winless, but Montreal holding down that big 15th place. And then after today's performance, St. Louis is back on the top at the West. LAFC holding second. Seattle falls to third with their loss. So 18, 17, and 16 right there. Dallas sitting in the fourth place spot still. And then there's your Houston Tynamo sitting in seventh place with 10 points. Vancouver with 10 as well. And so, Portland trying to creep back up because now they've got 8 points. Austin with 8. But you still have LA Galaxy and Sporting KC with no wins. So, but that's that was your MLS wrap up. Whoops,
Man, I'm extremely shocked that Kansas City hasn't won a game yet.
dude. They can't even score a goal. So I guess they're not going to win a game if you can't score a freaking goal.
Man, they only scored 2 goals in 8 games.
Yes, dude. That's
Bro, oh my goodness.
crazy, dude. That's crazy to think. Like, we thought they were going to be a team that was going to be back on the up and up this season, and obviously they're not at all. Not at all. I don't want to be the first team to lose to them, so somebody needs to get that out of the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Yeah. Next pro. I'll go through next pro real quick. Austin had 2 games this week. So rival versus rival. Austin whooped North Texas on Wednesday night 3-0. North Texas don't look that good this season, so that's a good thing for us because that means our academy's getting better. Theirs is getting worse. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true, by the way. Let's see who else. SKC went to St. Is that St. That's not St. Louis. That's whatever RSL's team is called. They ended up winning 4-0 there.
oh, Real Monarchs. Yeah.
Yeah. They're called SLC though. I don't know what that.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. Whatever. Anyways, and then Austin hosted St. Louis again, so they had double home games, and they beat St. Louis 2-0. So they had a good week. And North Texas ended up getting a win tonight. As we're recording, they finished their game and they beat Minnesota 2-1. So they ended up getting a lucky and getting a win. And if I run to the standings real quick, just to give you an update, because remember last week we recorded the show and still half the MLS Next Pro had to play. Let's go to our conference. So our little division, sorry, not our conference. Our division is ATX is leading the division with 13 points, Colorado 12, Minnesota 9, North Texas 9, SKC 8, Houston with a big 5. And some of those teams have played 4. Austin and North Texas have both played 5. So we're going to have to definitely step it up in the standings. So that's your NWSL, MLS, and MLS Next Pro recap.
Oh man, there's just like a lot more to come in terms of games, especially next week with the Challenge Cup and the week after Open Cup. And no man, just a lot of soccer to talk about.
Absolutely.
No, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this episode.
So before you do hang up, remind everybody we got instant ramen. So tomorrow, sorry. Obviously, if you listen to this before you listen to Instant Ramen, go listen to Instant Ramen. It's going to be out too. We talked to Inter Miami. Next week, obviously, we'll be reviewing all 4 games from the Dash, 2 games, the Dynamo and Dose. But then also next week, we're going to do our Instant Ramen with somebody from Tampa Bay, and we're going to give you the nice preview about Tampa Bay so you're not going into the Open Cup blind. So as always, make sure you follow all our profiles. If you got something to say, let us know. We appreciate the constructive criticism, and you got ideas, something you want to hear, something you want to see, let us know. Something more you want us to do, let us know. We're here for you guys. We're trying to bring it, and we're trying to hold it down, and we're trying to keep it H's.
Oh yeah, and definitely leave us a review, particularly on Apple Podcasts. Just drop a review there, or like OSG said, any kind of feedback you want to give it to us, Twitter, DMs, whatever you want to put it out, give it to us. We'll take it. If it's not constructive, we might just ignore it, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that instant instant ramen with Tynamo Bay. Like I love the Open Cup. I love talking about it, and it's gonna be our first time like traveling to a cup game outside of like MLS, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think last year we ended up going to SKC and playing one of our games, or the game that we ended up losing. So
Yeah,
we're kind of in a little bit of a different region. So it was Inter Miami gets to play whatever the Miami USL team is called. So they got that big rivalry game going on, and then we play Tampa Bay, and then of course I think after that we'll play, if we beat Tampa Bay, we'll play one of those Miami games. So you know we might get Miami a couple weeks apart from each other, and hopefully we can host them again. I don't want to go to Fort Lauderdale and play Miami. I'd rather be here in the shell in the hell.
Hell in a Shell. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hell in the shell. Yeah.
they both rhyme, so yeah, you can mix them up if you want.
Nah,
But yeah.
hell in the shell sounds better. You're right.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. It's a big boy. It's a big one, um, and we're just really thankful for you guys tuning in this long. And we'll see you guys next week. And stay noodle.
Leeches.